Hey
Yes,
everybody, what is
sir.
going on? LinkedIn fam. This is Antoine Matthews with another episode of Cyber Chat. And I'm so excited today. I got my boy William. He stepped into the ring. He wants to have a great conversation. We've been politicking more than y'all know. So
Sure.
before, without further ado, can you just give the people an introduction about who you are and just let us know who give them a little filler.
For sure. For sure. We're going to serve it to you guys raw. My name is William T. Jones Sims. I go by TJ. And yeah, man, I'm happy to be here. This is really exciting just to talk about cyberspace, talk about cybersecurity, what we're doing, some of the initiatives we have going on right now, and just the opportunity. Because I think that, right now, I know I can speak for myself and most folks in cyberspace, and Antoine, for you, like there's a huge opportunity right now. And I think that, it's our, our job and our mission to make sure that we're sharing that opportunity, that initiative, and expose and make sure that folks are aware of the opportunities and just also the vulnerability that, we're all, at risk of. So it's just really exciting. And yeah, man, I'm happy to be here.
Nah, man, I love it. So, dude, I know we've been going back and forth for probably like a week or two now, and it's been a lot of stuff inside of cyberspace, but a lot of the initiatives that you got in motion. Can you tell people a little bit, just so we can get them current? What's your current role? What do you do?
Sure, sure. Yeah. So I'm currently a cybersecurity engineer. So I work for a fintech company, Fiserv, and I'm on the cybersecurity incident response team. So all my experience, pretty much out of college, has been in incident response management. So for those of you who may not know what that is, that's blue team. There's so many different sectors of cybersecurity. You can be in the red team, blue team, purple team. Kind of be in the middle. But for what I do is more of like the defensive side of things. When you hear blue team, that's more like defense, as opposed to red team is more like offense, breaking things with permission. But yeah, those are like the good hackers. And so I basically jumped right in right out of college. I graduated from Plattsburgh State University with my bachelor's in cybersecurity, and went right into the workforce. I started working for a company called Michelin, which is an automotive tire company, where I joined their computer emergency response team. And I kind of was like my first big boy job out of college. And so it definitely wasn't like an entry level role. And it was a culture shock. So I'm from New York, and I moved to South Carolina, where I moved with my grandparents. I'm actually very familiar with that area, so it's like a second home to me. However, living there full time, working for a company like Michelin, which is a Fortune 500 company, and just like the environment, the atmosphere, I needed something that was a little bit more innovative and young. And I almost felt like, living in Greenville, South Carolina, I felt like if you were 23 and you didn't have kids, and weren't married, you were like doing something wrong. So it was like, it was creeping me out, to be honest. But yeah, so that's how I got my first, I guess that was my first experience right out of college, working for Michelin. And,
just
I
not
did
to cut
that.
you up, just real quick. So, because it's all about giving them the path. So while
Sure.
you were in college, when you went and got that first role at Michelin, like what kind of steps did you get? Did they give you like, did you get resume help? Was that an internship that turned into a full-time position?
So
Like,
Word. Yeah, no, I can give you the path, because I think that's important, is to kind of take you guys back to where kind of how it all started. And yes, the answer is yes, but I think when I first jumped into cyberspace, it started when I was at community college, and I was actually I had an 8 hour break in my schedule, and I commuted to school. It was about a 30 minute drive, and so I didn't feel like going back and forth. So I spent most of my day at school. When I wasn't in class, I was an average student. I wasn't a tech kid growing up. Like I was kind of running around in the street, playing sports, with my friends. I wasn't really big into like tech or gaming or anything like that. That was kind of like in parallel with technology. And so for me, I kind of started last minute in college because I come from an underrepresented background. I grew up on food stamps, Section 8, grew up in the project building. So like for me, it was all about choosing a field and a career that was going to be in demand, where I wouldn't have to worry about, A, having a job, and B, what kind of money I would make, because my mom's biggest thing growing up was she didn't know how she was going to pay rent. And so that was something I never wanted to worry about. So I thought, technology was a great vector to use, a great vehicle to use, and specifically cybersecurity. And so tying back into the whole, where this started, I remember during that 8-hour gap, I was like, you know what, I need to get some part-time money. So I went to the mall that was right across the street from my school, Roosevelt Field Mall, one of the biggest malls in Long Island. And I was walking through the mall. I was like, applying for jobs at like Champs and Foot Locker and just like Urban Outfitters. And I remember, walking past Louis Vuitton, and I wasn't dressed in like a professional, attire. I was in my hoodie and sweats, and it was like November, like around Thanksgiving. So it was pretty cold out. So I wasn't like presentable. I was just cozy and kind of like trying to stay warm.
Really?
And I remember walking by, and a small voice in my head was like, why not just go in? And I was like, having doubts, but something just, my inner gut just said, go in. And I did. I approached, there was a gentleman at the door, and he, was like, I was like, hey, by any chance you guys, hiring, or is there applications or anything? He was like, yeah. But he told me that the same line everyone tells you when you walk into a store looking for a job is, you got to go online. And so I was like, all right, cool.
The spot that you walked into, is this the Louis store?
This is the Louis store.
So hold on. So you said you had an 8-hour break. You went to the mall, hoodie, just trying to be warm. Didn't think you was dressed the part, walked into Louis, and you engaged in the conversation about a whole employment opportunity right now.
Right. I was just trying to get a job at Champs. So I was thinking like, all right, I could go into Champs in the hoodie and sweats. I can't really go into Louis asking for a job, trying to sell $3,000 bags. It just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So I was like, but something told me just go in there. And the gentleman was like, yeah, they're online. And I was like, all right. So, and he was like, wait, hold on. I'll print it out for you. And I was like, whoa, all right, cool. Like I'm gonna fill this out right here in the store. I have a glass of water, please. Like that. And so I did exactly that. I filled it out, and I ended up walking out of there. Funny enough, the gentleman at the door, we actually have the same last name. I didn't find that out until after I got the job. But spoiler, sorry about it. But what ended up happening was I walked out of the store, and I was heading back towards my car. I was about 3 stores down, and the manager got back from lunch, and he called me. And so I was only like 3 stores down. So I ran back, and I was like, hey, what's going on? He was like, yeah, you just came in for the seasonal 30-day position. And I was like, yeah. He was like, well, you can start in 2 weeks. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It was literally a 30-day shift. It was literally a job for 30 days. But I knew, like, going in there and getting in that atmosphere, in that environment, getting exposed to that type of person that would go in there and buy a $3,000 bag, I knew I could work magic with that. And so I was stoked. I was like, bet, let's get it. So I bought a suit and I did all that. Anyway, long story short, I started December 1st. On day 23 of my 30-day shift, it was like the busiest, right before Christmas. So the line was out the door. I was working long hours. And I remember, I ended up helping the gentleman. I took the next person in line. It was a man and his wife. And I helped them for about 45 minutes, and I sold them a bag. And this gentleman happened to be the director of the Criminal Investigations Unit at the Department of Financial Services in Manhattan on Wall Street. And I was talking to him the whole time, connecting with him. Like, what do you do? I'm like, well, I'm a student part-time. I'm a full-time student part-time here. I'm majoring in IT. I want to go into cybersecurity because, all of the opportunities, and I come from underrepresented background. So I'm looking for a field, He was like, you know what? When do you graduate? And I told him, he was like, hey, when you, when you're getting ready a semester before graduation, follow up with me and send me your resume, and I'll see what I can do. And so I was like, wow, like, okay. So I remember a semester before graduation, I followed up with him. I'm like, hey, what's going on, Frank? Like, I just want to follow up and get ready to graduate in another semester. I'm definitely looking for an internship. If there's anything you got going on, you want to, give me a ring, I'd appreciate it. He put my resume on the CIO's desk. And I skipped over like 200 applicants, and I got a job at that internship.
Straight to the top.
Cybersecurity unit, my first internship. And it actually helped me graduate early. I got college credit for it. I didn't get paid. I was hustling 3 days a week, going to the city, working for free, but it was the experience. And so now I had my first taste of what it's like working in a cybersecurity department. And that was just legendary to me, because then what ended up happening was that Louis Vuitton shift ended in 30 days, but that job ended, and it got me a job at Rolex right next door in the mall for the following semester. So I kind of like I was working at Rolex, and then I'm also working 3 days a week as an intern cybersecurity at the Department of Financial Services.
Yeah.
So that is what really got me into the game of the field of cybersecurity. And then I graduated with my associates in IT from Nassau. and I transferred to my 4-year where I went to Plattsburgh State, and then I transferred to a 4-year degree in cybersecurity, and that's where things just went. I went into overdrive. Literally, joined every I got on the board of 2 clubs because it was all about getting active and involved. And so I got on the board of the Software Engineering Club. I was a secretary there. And then I got on the board of the National Association of Black Accountants, NABA. And a lot of folks were kind of like, why would you do that? Why would you're not a Black accounting major. And I was like, see, you guys are too shallow. You guys aren't thinking clearly. I was doing it because I knew of the professional network that NABA was affiliated with. NABA's a professional organization outside of college. And so they offered everything from like networking and resume writing and school trips, and they were like a bridge between the university and corporate. They had sponsors and partnerships with different companies like EY, Grant Thornton, and all these big companies. So I was like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna get involved here.
Man, what I'm hearing is like, this is like something that you brought up earlier, just going into that Louis store, which got you the position. Is networking and building those relationships. That's one of the coolest things that I'm getting from the little bit of the information you're telling us right now, bro, is, well, it's not where I'm gonna be at, but how could I leverage this to get to where I want to be? Like you went from Louis to working part-time with the internship to Rolex, which means you still in that ecosystem of those same people, and then moving into college, other people was like, why you not accounting? Why you? Because you already seeing these gaps. And the reason I highlight this is because you did a great job at it. Obviously, it got you to where you want to be at. But I really want the listeners to understand it's about building relationships and seeing farther to where you at right now. I don't want to cut you. You're just saying some real powerful stuff, and I want to make sure that they get this, man.
Nah, for sure. You're 100% right. And it's just like, I think what really, what I guess how I was able to do that was I was equipped through my struggle and experience. So like, I think that I always say like our struggle and our experience is our greatest strength. And so growing up, how I grew up, I was a minority amongst minorities. So I learned how to get acclimated in any environment. And so what that did for me was I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. I'm comfortable being the only person just like myself. I'm comfortable walking into a room with a bunch of folks who don't even speak my language and getting acclimated and building relationships and making myself, just basically get acclimated and to their environment, to their culture, to whatever it is. And so I could do that. I can go in any room and do that. And so that's why I felt comfortable enough to go in Louis with my sweats, or to, go shake hands with Chuck at the office, and it's just all about that balance and acclimation. So I think that that's a skill. And I think that, a lot of folks who come from underrepresented backgrounds have so many strengths and skills. They're just not aware of them yet. And so that's what I like to be that voice, that leader, and just expose. It's about applying the 4E effect, which is the exposure, the education, the execution, and evolution. And so that empowers you, that empowers folks. And so from there, pretty much, after I joined those clubs, I got really active on campus. And then what I was able to do was I actually got a job. I actually sacrificed the summer. So being that, when I got to college and I was transferred to my 4-year, I was in class with kids who were programming since they were 10. So I was nowhere near as technical. So I had to, like I said, go work into overdrive and put in overtime. So I ended up staying summer of 17, my junior year, up in college at Plattsburgh, which is like the tip of New York, literally in the middle of nowhere. Right at the border of Canada. And I stayed there for the summer. I worked at the help desk. So I got like some more, it was all about, for me, it was about developing hands-on experience. So I needed to work at the help desk to get that like first taste of what it's like to like, work with hardware and just deploy, systems on campus, whether it be faculty machines, student machines. That was like a great experience for me that exposed me to some like the hardware, whether it be screen repair, deployments, doesn't matter. But I needed that hands-on experience. So I was doing that. And then simultaneously, I was building relationships with the director of the Cybersecurity Center on campus, because my school was building out a center for cybersecurity, AKA a hackerspace, on campus for the tech students, for cybersecurity and management information students. So I was getting to, really get to know the director of the whole department. And he was kind of like a stern, hard up, stuck up, someone would, for the first time would kind of meet him, think like, oh, this guy's he's a hard ass, I wouldn't want to deal with him. But well, he was, he was really like, he really would go to bat for you once he saw that you wanted it. And so what I just kept on doing is I just kept on showing up every day. And I showed up so much to the point where he was just like, yo, this kid wants it. And so I ended up becoming a co-director and of the cybersecurity center, as I was also up there, as a help desk technician during the summer, and I took an online class. And so now I'm managing interns, and I'm recruiting for the center. Hey guys, we got this cyberspace. You guys should come check it out. Now I'm managing intern projects.
Yeah,
and all simultaneously, I also did an independent study in my apartment on campus. I got approval from the dean of the school to do an independent study. So I set up like a network on a Raspberry Pi, like a firewall, and I got college credit for it, and it was counted as an internship. And so I did all that in 3 months. I got like 3 experiences. So I just flooded my resume with good stuff. And then the following year, my senior year, that first semester, I was taking like 8 classes, and I was just like, applying. I was looking.
Dude, that's a lot. That is dedication. That is showing up. You said 8 classes. You doing projects. You working. You promoting this and letting other people, influencing them, bro. Yo, preach. If y'all don't hear anything else that this man is saying, is put that work in. And I love what
groundwork.
You said. The hands-on experience. So just out of curiosity, because we get this question a lot, along the way, did you get any kind of certifications, or was it all just hands-on and building that experience?
I have 0 certifications. It was all hands-on experience. And so I was studying for the Security Plus, the 401 at the time, but it was just so much to balance. And I think that, for me, it was just like, at the time I was putting a heavy emphasis on just trying to get the experience. I knew like I could eventually get the certifications and stuff, but I think what's more valuable, at least in the beginning, than certifications is the relevant experience. Companies want to see that you can identify with the tool sets, that you can speak the language, that you have that, go-getter mentality, that self, initiative. And so that's what I focused on. And it ended up paying off because, 3 months into my March of 2018, before I graduated, I locked in a full-time job. That's when I was talking to Michelin. They flew me out to South Carolina. They got me a hotel. They got me a rental car. I had my interview the following day, and then an hour after I left my interview, I got a call that they offered me a job offer before I even got to the airport. So
you said an hour after the interview?
An hour after my interview, they made me an offer.
Man, that is fire. That is fire, bro. Okay, you didn't even make it to the airport.
And I'm not speaking from a point of view that's like, like, look at me. I just want to put that out there for anyone who had, for motivation, because it was literally like me putting in the groundwork. And I think that, anybody can do that. But it was just, that was my mentality going through, that whole entire process, which is like, I had that mentality to just do whatever it takes. There was folks that were way more technical than me. But I think that my experience having that, being able to juggle the soft skills, the tech skills, and then kind of articulate myself, relate to people, was the differentiation.
Yeah, man. No, I can't echo that any louder or better than you did. Like even in my role, one of the things people told me is, that helped me land the job is not so much always the tech. It's how can you communicate? How can you work together in a team? And, can you effectively communicate, the message to different things? And it sounds like you checked off all those boxes. The one question I would have for you is Michelin, that's like a known name. That's not like the startup down the street that's just getting started. Like, do you have any advice on like how you prepared for that? Like, was that, I know you said you're good at adapting, but when you heard that name, was it like, I don't believe I'm doing it, Well,
yeah, it was nerve-wracking for sure. Actually that year, 2018, Forbes puts out a list every single year, for like, best large employers, best medium and small employers. And so they rank them based on compensation, employee satisfaction, all these different means. And so, that year, Michelin placed #1 Forbes top 100 best large employers, beating out Google. Sorry, Antoine. Beating out, companies like Apple and Tesla. So they placed #1, and that was the year, I I got the offer. So it was mind blowing. I couldn't believe it. And I think that one of the things I did was I remember calling one of my best friends at the time, who graduated a year before me. His name is Brandon Mitchell. And when he was kind of in the same boat before he graduated, he had a full-time job at PwC. So he was like, he went into tech consulting. So I was like, yo, Brandon, like Michelin wants to fly me out to South Carolina. They got me a hotel, rent a car. Like, I don't know. I was talking to him for 2 hours, just bugging out. Like, how am I going to prepare for this? Like, what do I do? He's like, bro, relax. Like, you're good. You got this. Like, literally, like, just go in there, be yourself. Just talk about your projects. You got you've earned it, bro. Like, and that's literally what it was. It's just like, I literally put in the groundwork, and it's different. Like when you can go in an interview and speak to like, your success, your highlight your accomplishments, your impact. And for me, it's always about impact. So, I got on campus and I was trying to make an impact. I was trying to, expose students, even though I wasn't the most technical, I was getting in the room and I was trying to expose people to the opportunity. I knew that technology is a vehicle to freedom. I knew that technology was a vehicle that I think that underrepresented community and underrepresented youth can benefit from if they develop a skill set, because we need to develop skill sets that can be translated into currency. And we need to develop skill sets that are not disposable. And so technology and cybersecurity is the answer to that, in my opinion.
No, man, I agree with you 100%. And I think that like how we keep talking, the more technology we embrace, the more vulnerabilities, we open ourselves up to. And we're gonna move into that part of the conversation. We definitely gonna do that.
Let's get it.
But hold on, before let's bring it back. So cool. Just because like we didn't start in these situations to where we weren't made professionals. Like, to be honest, like it sounded like we should have been statistics based on the averages. So with that, it becomes like you said, one of the E's was exposure and really seeing a different way. Were there times where you had to break away from people, or what were some of like the more personal struggles, whether it be with friends or close family members, that you had to go through in order to like either show them, hey, look, this is what I'm doing, or just move forward? Because a lot of times, you don't want to leave people that you grew up with or mean so much to you. Like, did you ever have to deal with any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, that's deep. Definitely, I grew up in a project building. So for me, like, I was exposed to, drugs and gangs. And, I had to step over 4 people sleeping in my stairwell just to get to my apartment. And so like, that was regular, like that was everyday life. So like, I was always, like when I left my building, I was just like the happiest, kid out there. Cause I was just like, I got to go away. But when I went home, it was just like, we had bed bugs and roaches and mice and people sleeping in the stairwell, smoking crack and, just like all this craziness. It was toxic. And so, growing up, my 5 closest friends were convicted felons. My cousins, they've been to prison. And so like, for me, I had a lot of examples of what not to do. And so, I was always like, okay, like I knew what I needed to do to get out. And, I watched my mom struggle. And so like, I never gravitated or condoned that type of behavior. So like when I got away to college, or whether I was in the town or, in school, like I didn't condone that behavior because I see my closest friends and family, get taken away from me. And so like, I didn't want to participate in that. And I just knew where I was going, where I was headed was the right way. And so I just tried to keep my head down. And the ones that were close to me, like they made bad decisions, but they supported me because they knew my struggle was real. And some of the folks that were in my, my circle, didn't grow up as, with as little resources as me. They kind of chose that life. And so I think that they were happy that I was, choosing to do the right thing. And so I got a lot of support, but it was definitely like one of those things where it's like, I had to literally like wake up every day and kind of like block things out. And it's hard, I think that, growing up, I had to really develop thick skin. I had to really like, focus on, the bigger picture, the end goal. And so, it's a lonely process, it can be a lonely process. And so, you just try to seek out relationships and people who are doing the same thing. And, I never would turn my back on people that I grew up with and that love, but it's also a matter of, surrounding yourself with people who are in line with your vision and that are going, in a similar path or better than you, so that you can, be, challenged and grow. And so, yeah, sometimes it's about separating yourself, and sometimes it's just, a matter of you focusing on, what you need to do. And the people, I always say when it comes to relationships, time doesn't dictate the meaning of any relationship. And so in my opinion, I feel like, how I like to judge the value of a relationship or someone's love for me is how they treat themselves. And so whether it be like, someone that is, for 10 or 20 years, from the sandbox, if that's the first person that calls you and is like, hey, yo, bro, this person, such and such, that doesn't, that tells me right there, well, you're willing to put your own self in jeopardy, then I know you don't give a damn about me. So I just really judge people based on how they treat themselves. If they're hustling, they're grinding, if they're working towards something, if they're staying healthy, if they're staying fit, if they're, with a healthy mind, body, and spirit, and just elevating themselves and educating themselves, then that's going to tell me a lot about that person. That's someone who I want to be around. So, we're gonna get straight to it.
Man, that's fire, man. First, I appreciate you being so personal, and being transparent with that. I don't want to go back and forth and staring the horror stories because we understand it, but just walking us through that. And I really like how you transition into like you create your network. And, it's almost like looking at a mirror when you said you want to be around people that's healthy, that's educating, and how they care about themselves. I've never heard anybody say that. And that's like a bar in itself. If you didn't catch anything else from what my man said, because it's reflective of you, because you have those same behaviors, those characteristics. So it's only right that it's going to mesh together. But dude, yeah, that's good. And what another thing, you talked about and we talked about earlier was reaching back and actually helping people. So I know you got a lot of initiatives going on right now. Did you want to talk about, is it too soon? I don't know.
Nah, yeah, we could definitely chop it up. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I guess like I'm working on, but one of the biggest projects that I'm working on right now that I guess I'm the most passionate about is TFUAcademy. And TFUAcademy is the flagship program of the Freedom Unit, which is a business that I launched and set up last year before the pandemic. And so outside of being a cybersecurity engineer and a tech professional, I'm a serial entrepreneur. So, I have multiple businesses. I got a trucking company, a logistic company that I started last year during the pandemic.
What's the names? What's the names? I'm just like,
plug
it.
Yeah, NextGen Logistics. That's the trucking company that we launched last year. So we got one truck, I got a driver, dispatch company, the whole 9 yards, and we're actually in the process of scaling. Hopefully, by the end of this quarter, we should be somewhere up towards around 5 trucks, give or take, maybe even as many as 8. But yeah, we're looking to scale that and grow that. We've been killing it for the last 11 months, and it's definitely a business where I applied the 4 E's. That exposure, education, execution, evolution, because I had no idea what trucking was or the industry before, last year. I kind of just saw these huge things on the road that I always would try to just like, get out of the way because, they take up space. But trucking is an $800 billion industry and it's a needs-based business, right? So we saw that during the pandemic. Trucking logistics is the backbone of our entire economy. That's how things got to the stores. That's how families were fed. And so truck drivers are like almost the equivalent, I would say like the equivalent of like cybersecurity folks, because they are literally like one of the hardest working people. They have one of the most dangerous jobs and they're not appreciated. And so like it's like there's a high turnover rate. And so, I learned about it. So the key was I got exposed. Like a gentleman in our network who's actually an EYL.
Earn your leisure. Earn your leisure.
For sure. Shout out to Earn Your Leisure. Alex Good Energy. He's an earner. And we actually purchased his course through his portal because, Alex has been in the trucking space for years and he's super successful. And so we were like, yo, we got exposed to this whole business model. And then we purchased the course. We educated ourselves. And so education isn't just in the form of like college or university, but courses, books, podcasts, whatever you want it to be. And so we bought a course for like $2,000. And then after we bought that course and we learned like kind of like the blueprint, we educated ourselves. Excuse me. We executed on what, we just learned, which is where like 75% of people fail is on the execution, taking action part. And so, we did that and we delegated duties and we set up our business and literally evolved. That was the 4th step. We evolved after that. And now almost 12 months later, we have a trucking fleet. And so That's thank you. That's just like a passive income stream, and it's a lot of moving parts. A lot of people are selling dreams and whatnot, but we're definitely crushing it. We just had like our first $40,000 a month like revenue, like killing it, 4 back-to-back $10,000 weeks, and it's just like our driver's a monster. So that's one of the businesses that are going crazy right now that I started last year. And then what I'm really passionate about is I also have a clothing line, which is what you see here, like TFUThreads. Yeah, the Freedom Unit Threads. So TFUThreads is the clothing line that I have. We're in the middle of like vertically integrating right now with some equipment. So we'll be doing another launch hopefully by the end of the summer. But that's another initiative.
So where can we pick this up? You said the name. I know the name. I wanted to get some drip.
The website should be. It's under construction. We're revamping the website, but I would just say maybe like another week or so we should have that situated. And again, I'll be promoting for the next launch, but I'll definitely put aside some merch for you so we can get you out, get a package out to Cali.
Yeah, my man moving. So what we gonna do is like all the time, we gonna put it in the show notes, and I'm gonna keep replaying this so y'all can keep seeing it. So when y'all see that link, go and give my man some love. That's a fire hoodie he got on right now.
Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, this is the gear right here. It's the label. But yeah, and so I think it's important to brand yourself. And I used to work at Louis. I used to work at some of these high-end retail, fashion labels. So for me, it was like, I always like understood it from a back end, and I was like, I understood the power of branding and your logo, and just like, for me, it was just like, branding myself, because I feel like we make the brand. And so my brand is like, I'm passionate about, and exposing, educating, and empowering, folks, and so that's why I kind of wanted to get into the fashion a little bit and express my creativity. And so that's why I kind of, did the clothing line thing. And so, and then last but not least is the TFUAcademy, which is something that we're looking to launch at the end of this summer, do our first cohort. And TFUAcademy is a tech-enabled career advancement program that specializes in cybersecurity and professional development training for high school and college students. And so we are currently working with a few schools. We just locked in an entire school district in the city of Long Beach, where I'm from. And we're also in the process of talking about potential partnerships with multiple private schools. And so again, just getting the youth exposed to tech and cybersecurity and professional development earlier, and essentially turning young scholars into young professionals by just basically, telling them not to wait to be great, be legendary now. And so we're going to give them that, hands-on training that it's basically, we're like an internship infrastructure for these schools, and we provide the career readiness, the career coaching, the professional development, everything from, a professional resume, which is ATS optimized. There's so much that goes into a professional resume that most folks don't even know about. And so, everything from that to online branding with LinkedIn, networking, interview coaching, like I said, online.
These are all services that the Academy are going to be offering these youth.
Correct.
Like, dude, that's fire.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's what we're doing now. And we just partnered with the Martin Luther King Center in my community because we're trying to get more kids from underrepresented backgrounds exposed to this type of thing earlier on who need it. And also, kind of partner the upper echelon school systems and kind of bridge that gap. And so we're working with them. And we've seen a lot of growth lately in the last few weeks and months. So that's what I'm really excited about. And we're growing and building every single day. So it's gonna be big.
Yeah. With that in mind, so you're the pathway into these schools for the underrepresented youth, and you're giving them the skills, not only technical, but helping them with the personal branding, whether that be LinkedIn, and educating them on this process. Is there a recommendation, a requirement that you're looking for that these kids have to meet to enter the program?
So it's funny you asked that question. So in the beginning, it was like I was showing up to the Martin Luther King Center and I'm begging people, hey, come on, check this out. I'm just handing out flyers. I'm just talking to students because I'm from the community. So I grew up playing basketball in the community, like I said, where I grew up. And so people know me, but it's just getting people to show up can be difficult at times. So we kind of partnered with the schools, kind of raise awareness, market it to the city, and bring faces. However, we were hosting it at the Martin Luther King Center. for that, again, for the initiative and to raise that awareness and market. And so, now there's a lot more demand for this type of program, being that we got some schools behind us, and there's an opportunity for us to actually have our program built into like the curriculum or into the schedule of the school system. So like whether that be during elective periods, twice a week, or weekend activity hours, because the private schools do things a little different. But now it's a little bit more, we would have more of maybe a wait list. So we're kind of, we're trying to situate all that now, and just talking with schools again to see how we're going to roll out this cohort and launch this program at these schools.
Gotcha. And when it comes to the school, so say there's somebody that's listening to the podcast for whatever reason, and they might be at one of these schools, or they might work at a school. Is there certain things that you look for, like that they have to meet qualifications before, or are you just going to any school that's upper echelon, or what that may look like?
So that's a great question. We have an actual form, like a registration, or what you call like an application, where like students will fill out, tell us a little bit about themselves, like kind of why they want to join the academy, if they're have any experience with cybersecurity, like from a beginner, intermediate, or they're advanced, and they go kind of fill out this like registration form, and then from there we kind of review it, and then we would get on like a consultation to discuss, like in more detail. So that's kind of like the process now. And so we have we have students or individuals kind of like version of it versus like a actual like education institution. So like, for example, like a school who has, let's say 200 students, like one of these private schools, or let's say versus like, a family who just like, wants their son or daughter to go into like a program like this to get that exposure. So it just really depends. But essentially we're going to eventually, at least this is how I see it, bridge that funnel or that pipeline, so that students are kind of all merged and build a bigger network. Because what I see is building a large infrastructure of some of the top talent and just building out the team from all over, because we have interest from all over, from New York, Connecticut, to all the way across the country to California. And so I think that would be great to build up like a infrastructure of some of the best leading talent in our communities, and bridge them, pull them all together, and move forward together.
Yeah. So when it comes to the curriculum, like what kind of project, because you said like one of the things I heard from you is like you big on the hands-on experience. Like what kind of experience will these students be able to, say, hey, I walked around, I left this with this project, or, hey, I was able to accomplish these goals, or I made this kind of impact. What kind of things did you have planned for the students? Without giving too much detail, but just so we can get an idea.
Nah, that's a great question. So one of the main, I guess the meat and potatoes of the program is teaching students to develop a skill set of cyber threat intelligence. And so CTI work, that's everything from, conducting investigations, performing analysis, researching threats, vulnerabilities, cybersecurity incidents. And a lot of that's open source, but it's a skill set to be able to, do the research, conduct an investigation, write up a report deliverable, and produce a, CTI report to upper management. That's a six-figure skill set. And so that's what we're going to be mainly focusing on in this program, is developing that skill set of cyber threat intelligence. And then, obviously, we put together some curriculum that we developed. That's a lot like intro to cybersecurity fundamentals. So that's just like your, giving you that like first initial exposure, or that baseline foundation of like, what cybersecurity is, the different type of hackers, encryption algorithms, things like that, just to get their feet wet, but not to go into too much detail, just to get like that baseline understanding. And so there'll be like, some quiz assessments. And so once students pass that exit exam, they'll get like a certificate of completion. So essentially their first certification. And, but essentially we're going to be focusing on the CTI work.
That's cool, man. That's super cool. So like earlier we talked about, now let's bring it back to it. Remember? So now you got these kids and they're interested in cyber. They got the training. They know how to do the research. So why is this so important? Remember, we talked about the vulnerabilities and how everybody's so open to tech. You want to talk about that in your words?
Man, it's crazy. It's like you see it all the time. I mean, you know, you have kids, like people have put iPads in their kids' hands from an early age. And so what we're seeing is we're starting to see kids be controlled by the tech instead of empowered by it. And so we're trying to teach, you know, kids to make the technology work for them so that they're not, you know, so the technology is. So essentially, like I work, I have a job, but the technology works for me. You know, if I want to, you know, run a search, you know, I just, you know, do, and it's the technology spits out the data, and I just know how to read and communicate with the technology. And that's why I get paid. You know, so it's like that's what we're trying to teach, and so I put a heavy focus on that. But other than that, tying back into your question. Your question was you what were you saying?
Just like, you know, how earlier, like when you got, so I'm gonna give y'all a little glimpse into my world. Before we had this podcast scheduled up, me and my was already on the phone talking. And he was so excited. He said, so what's stopping somebody from putting a malicious link in your Zoom link? Because how are we communicating? Like even right now on this technology, once again, you know, we're not letting it use us. We're being empowered by it. So, you know, like prior to this pandemic, so many people didn't know how these tools even existed. You know, they didn't know about teleconference if it wasn't FaceTime on the phone, you know, but the weakest link in any organization, like you can pay the $10,000 or the $50,000 and get these nice shiny systems and these objects. But if the end user and, you know, for those people, just the average consumer, if they're not knowing how to, you know, look out for phishing campaigns or social engineering campaigns, then it's kind of like having a fortress with the front doors wide open, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And you helped me, you know, remember my train of thought, which was, you know, obviously as we rely more and more on technology, right, the attack surface expands. And so we've seen that during the pandemic. You know, we've seen a 60% rise in cyber attacks, and that's not a coincidence. That's just that these attackers and organizations know, like, there's a lot of people who've never used Zoom before or never worked remote online, and these folks are vulnerable and susceptible to an attack. So if you send them a phishing link, you know, they're not thinking, they're going to click just because, you know, hey, I don't know this person, but they sent me something. Let me click, you know, hey, do me this quick favor, you know, putting urgency on it. And so what ends up happening is, you know, you get your, you know, your credit stolen, or, you know, 60% of all ransomware is initiated through phishing. And so what I mean is, as we rely more and more heavily on technology, we're just going to be more vulnerable and more exposed. And that's something that's never going away. We're talking about NFTs, cryptocurrencies, relying more and more on digital is just going to it's going to create a larger attack surface. And so what we'll see is cybercrime going up. Currently, we have a 0% unemployment rate in cybersecurity, and that's due to the cybercrime damage. And so I think, if I'm not mistaken, cybersecurity is like $100 billion industry. But in 2021, we've seen already $6 trillion due to cybercrime damage and theft. We're on track for 2025, which is 3 years away, to be doing $10.5 trillion, that's a T, $10.5 trillion annually due to cybercrime damage. That is $200,000 a second. And so, you know, what that does for folks like you and me, Antoine, is that makes us more valuable. We're more in demand, and our careers become bulletproof, because this is never going away, right? Cyber warfare is here, it's thriving, and it's never going to stop, right? Yeah. As we rely more and more on digital, which is why this opportunity is so great, so large, specifically for minorities, being that this is a white male-dominated industry, and we need more minorities, we need more women in tech. And so if you are a woman in tech, a minority woman in tech, or a minority in general, and you're qualified, you write your own ticket. Let's take advantage of the opportunity, folks. It's never gonna go away.
Man, before we even move on to the next segment, what you said is so powerful. Like, everybody is relying on technology right now. We, like, our bond, and I consider you my man. Like,
for sure,
we started on technology. We didn't have to, like the old school. I didn't have to fly out to New York and, you know, bump into you at the hallway or whatever. Like, you know, people are moving towards technology, whether it's for convenience, whether it's for efficiency in their product deliverment, whatever it is. So you know, what you have to think about is first 0 day. If you don't know what a 0 day is, that's a vulnerability somebody find there's no answer to, you know, but you got nation states, you got people, you know, your everyday Joe, you know, hopping onto these devices and messing around with stuff. They don't know what's going on. And my background, like I said, was in marketing. That's what got me so involved in technology, because if I want to show a brick and mortar mom and pop shop how they could promote themselves better online, but you don't understand how to set up a Facebook page for your business, how are you going to protect these consumers once they go to your website and they're entering in their credit card information? You know, like that. And that goes back to where you said, hey, this is a zero unemployment game. Like, you write your own ticket. And that's why I have so many people like us, minorities, on this podcast to show, look, you can go the school route. Like, you know, I did, my man Will did. You can go and get certifications. It's so many different ways for you to get these skills, but realize, just as excited as you are about those new Jordans that's going to drop, or, you know, what the new car, whatever it may be, this is the ground floor. Like, people are just now opening up to not only the possibilities of what technology could be for a pro, but also the vulnerabilities and everything else, because the same way you make new technology, it's always somebody trying to figure out how to break it. That's what hacking is. Like, how can I hack away at this until I get to my goal? So I don't want to steal your shine, man, but you got me fired up over here, bro. This is that's what I do. You know, that's what I do.
Talk about it, because it's true. You know, it's where we are today. And to be honest, excuse me, I don't see this ever changing or slowing down. There's no turning back. You know, the average person has, I think, like 18 devices. I mean, you know, I have a phone dedicated just for content, you know, and so, you know, it's like you have, whether there be 2 laptops, a phone, an iPad, you know, your television, you know, your smartwatch, your whatever, you know, all of these different endpoints are just attacks or different attack vectors that can be exploited. And so, you know, we're relying more and more on digital. That's something that's not going to change. And so the reason why there's a 0% unemployment rate is because there's not enough qualified talent. So you have folks who, you know, who may graduate with a degree, but they have a hard time getting a job because they lack experience or they don't have the soft skills, right? So that's why it's so important. We have to drill down and leave this theory stuff to the schools, but develop skills, develop, hands-on experience and do things, because that's going to be the differentiating factor between you getting a job or not. I mean, I went to school with people who had degrees in business and accounting that went home to work at ShopRite. And I was like, wow, and I didn't have that problem. Before I graduated, I already signed the dotted line. It was like draft day, for someone like me. So, I was in the green room. I remember sitting in the green room, which is my advisor's office, on March 15th, 2018. And I was signing the contract. Yeah, like upon graduation, you got a full-time job. And I was making like $70,000.
Hold on, how much?
Yeah, my first job out of college, I made $64,000 with a $3,500 sign-on bonus. Right out of college.
And how much money did you say? Because you I'm assuming you didn't have that kind of money growing up.
No, we was on Section 8 and food stamps. My mom was 300% below the poverty line. So she made
below the poverty line. You walk in, back into the apartment, stepping over people to get into where you at.
Yeah.
Out of college, you getting drafted with 70.
Right. As a matter of fact, I made and that $70,000 is $70,000, but it was enough money where I couldn't live at home because my mom would have got kicked off public assistance. So I couldn't even live at home anymore because I made too much money. So it was a good problem to have, but it was one of those things where it was when I was growing up and living at my mom's, I slept on the couch. I didn't have a room. All my stuff was in bags because we had bugs. And so I could, the people who have bed bugs know what I'm talking about. You keep your clothes in bags because the air, you tie your bags up, kills the bugs from breathing. So it's that type of thing. But that was my first job, and I did that for 12 months. And then at the end of that 12 months, I was getting I wanted to move back to New York and in the city, and I was getting job offers for I ended up taking a job making $30,000 more, and then from that point I got a contract to hire position. So I was a 6-month contract to hire, and 3 months into my contract, I was getting all offers and recruiters reaching out to me on LinkedIn, headhunters for $150,000, and I was just like, what is going on? I didn't understand.
So where are these people getting are you putting yourself out there? Or are these people just
No, I wasn't even looking. It was on LinkedIn. I mean, the demand is really that high. So I'm not speaking from like an expert level. I mean, what I'm saying is if you develop a baseline foundation understanding, you are set. And these recruiters will come and find you. Like, I'm not even looking for a job, you know. I haven't for 2 years, but I still get a recruiter reaching out to me every single day. Hey, I say, William, I've seen that, you know, your experience. I have a wonderful opportunity with a client right here in the city. Job is 100% remote, compensation, competitive compensation package. You see it all the time, 130, 140, $160,000, 10, 15% sign-on bonus. The money and the opportunities are there. The time is now, and it's never going away, but we have to develop the skills and we have to do it properly, which is hands-on experience and guidance, mentorship, and training.
So after we get all that, the hands-on experience and we develop these skills, so, you know, some people, that's what they're good at. They're good at getting the skills and acquiring it. You know, like we talked about, hey, you kind of want to be a practitioner of your skill set. But when it comes to putting yourself out there, even something like setting up a LinkedIn profile, like what are some of the things that you did that, you know, other people can probably implement to help them get noticed? Because I'm pretty sure it's people that do got these skill sets probably got a LinkedIn profile halfway baked out and they can't even, you know, if they threw a brick at a wall, they couldn't hit it.
Right. So I think that it's important. Like I said, those soft skills or the online branding is important. Like your resume, your LinkedIn tick and tie. So they gotta be, you know, they gotta reflect. Because what's the first thing that's gonna happen when the recruiter pulls up your resume? That's if they get it. Because most people, they have pictures in their resumes, the wrong formatting, wrong grammar, wrong font. They're not even going to be seen because the ATS is not going to parse their resume correctly. So and so they don't even have a chance. And mind you, these might be the most technical, skilled people. They just don't know any better, and so they don't have that other, you know, they don't have the professional resume writing experience or the career coach to be like, hey, like, you know, don't do that. So it's just
hold on. Sidebar. Ain't that what you do?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's tell the people about that.
Yeah, so I do career coaching and some, you know, I used to write resumes and, you know, everything from working with entry-level professionals, mid-career professionals, and senior executives, you know, see the C-suites. And so, you know, basically, again, like it's all about how you articulate yourself on paper, because again, these resumes, they're going through an ATS. So you could be the most skilled person, but if you're not representing yourself correctly on paper, you're not going to be seen. And so if your resume gets seen, what's going to happen is the recruiter is going to go, first thing he's going to do is he's going to go to your LinkedIn. He's going to go pull you up on LinkedIn. Oh, okay, Williams is this guy. Oh, okay, cybersecurity engineer. Okay, that's him. And they're going to look at your experience. And so on your LinkedIn, you want to make sure that your title is intact. You know, you have some people, their titles are seeking an internship or seeking professional opportunities. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, you know, you got to speak to the job that you want, right? You got to speak to the role that you're applying for. So, you know, you should have a nice title in there. You should have a nice descriptive bio. I would avoid objective statements because that's like a thing of the past. Nobody cares about that. You're applying for a specific role. So your talents and skills should speak to that role. Your experience should speak to the role. Because if your experience doesn't speak to the role, you could be a cybersecurity major. And let's just say that you're applying for a cybersecurity analyst job and you have a degree or you're pursuing a degree or have a degree in cybersecurity. But let's just say your experience is at working at Chick-fil-A, ShopRite, and you know, delivery service. Your skills don't match what you're applying for.
Yeah.
So this is why there's a 0% unemployment rate, but this is also why, you know, one in four people are qualified for the role they're applying. And in cyberspace, it's too much of a risk to hire someone that doesn't know anything. So you gotta be trainable. You gotta be able to learn and you know, in real time. And so having that professional LinkedIn with, you know, like I said, your title, your headline, your bio, having your experience matching up, you know, having some bullets in there describing what you've done and highlighting your skills and achievements and success. Turning on filters that people aren't even aware are in LinkedIn. Like, you know, you can turn on these filters so that recruiters, you're visible to recruiters, and, you know, all these different things, getting endorsements and referrals on your profile, recommendations, stuff. All these things matter, you know. And so that's what, you know, I do as well. Yeah, that's a little gem, but
yeah.
all that matters. It all matters.
Man, yes, it does. You know me as the branding and marketing do. Yes, it does. Yes, man, you are so on point. So so are you still doing this? Is that something that you currently help people with, or is it like you used to to help?
Nah, yeah, I still do it. And so, we're just, definitely anyone who wants to check us out, you could check out that service that we do at Brand Resumes. So that's brandresumes.com for anyone who wants to check that out. You can go to my LinkedIn handle. I'm sure once we post this, you guys will see it. But yeah, my LinkedIn handle, William TJ Sims. You can go on there. You can contact me directly. Yeah, definitely still do it. Definitely in the space. It's really important that we make sure that we're polishing ourselves or focusing on our online branding, because today's age, it's the average job search took about 6 months before the pandemic. Now it's the competition is it's super crazy. It's very competitive, and it's even longer than that. But if you're in cyberspace, I always tell my job, when my job backs up, man, it wouldn't take me long. But, that's not a threat. I'm very grateful and appreciative. But it's just like the opportunity is there. So I want to raise that awareness. I think people.
Yeah, man. So if y'all didn't hear anything else, just understand. Look, man, it's always opportunities in cybersecurity. And if you had the skills or you just don't know how to present yourself the right way, definitely talk to my boy William. And something else that he didn't mention is, when people look you up, they're going to Google you. Yeah, the recruiter's going to see your resume and he's going to go to your LinkedIn. But if you go to somebody in passing, or they might just type your name into Google, more than 80% of the time, your LinkedIn profile is going to be within the top 5 search results. So you want to make sure that, you have your stuff polished up. And if you are having, some difficulty, or you might want to have somebody once over to make sure you're in the right direction, talk to Will. I'll have the information in the show notes. But man, this whole podcast has been about giving back and really, making sure, first understanding your story and showing that it's different people with different paths and they look like us, and where we can come from to where we can go to. And you just started your mission. Another part of your mission is reaching back and helping so many other people get to their mission, and live their life. So, dude, this whole podcast has been great. I do want to talk to you about what are some of the tips, since, I don't want to leave the people feeling scared. We're saying we got to depend on technology. And at this point, it's no going, but you don't have a choice. Even if you're hungry right now, you're going to go on DoorDash, you're going to probably pay with the tap on yourself, on your card. Technology is here to go. So do you have some tips on ways that people can, at least take the minor or the basic steps to stay safe and make sure that their information isn't so loosely out there?
Yeah, I think that, one of the first things that pops up in my head is just, we reveal too much information. I think that, that's something that we do, naturally as humans. We're very, trusting and stuff, but being that we're online now, we're very accessible. And so it's almost like you're always online. You can never turn it off. You know what I'm saying? It's true. How do you turn it off? Even you order something or you want to register, you need an email. What if you don't have, you could go to the gym and you want to sign up for Planet Fitness. What's your email? I don't have one. Well, you need one. So it's like you have to. I feel like we're going to a place where it's gonna and I don't know. This may just be me, my thought process, but you're always gonna have to be online. You're gonna always have to be available, accessible, trackable. So it's I feel like you gotta put guardrails around the tech and not always be so accessible, not always reveal too much information. Make sure you're validating. I think social media, especially online dating, people are quick to just give their phone number out. People are quick to just, be talking to someone, but not validate or confirm the identity or, whatever. So I think that just some of the things we can do is just not reveal so much information, whether, be more mindful on how you shop, where you're swiping your card. These are things that you just got to think about because, whether it be at a gas station, whether it be at a small deli, you want to just be mindful on how you operate and your digital footprint. And so, whether you're, for example, how many folks do we know are travel and let's say connect to public Wi-Fi, whether it be at an airport, right?
Yeah.
Well, who's stopping or at Starbucks? Who's stopping a hacker or somebody behind a computer screen in the coffee shop from using some software called Wireshark, which is It's just a software. It's an app, which probably, you know, folks who aren't technical probably never heard of, but for folks who are in our space definitely know what that is. And it's you know, it's a network analyzer. So you connect to a Starbucks, you know, public Wi-Fi, and there's somebody on the network running this program that can view all of the traffic of everyone who's connected to that internet, to that Wi-Fi. Who's stopping them from doing it? And you're logging into your bank, and he just captured your credentials.
Thanks, Will. I needed that 100. I needed that 100.
You just paid for my mocha cappuccino. But it's true. And that happens at the airport, that happens on the plane, that happens at the coffee shop, you know, that happens, you know, at the gym. So all these different things that we're just not thinking about is exposing us, and it's making us vulnerable and susceptible to attack. And so I think we just need to be a little bit more mindful. We need to reveal less information. And I think just by applying, you know, those little, you know, cyber hygiene tactics, we can prevent a lot of things from happening. And you said it before, it's all about the end user. The problem with cybersecurity in the industry is that the industry is putting too much of a heavy emphasis on policy and big technology. And what's happening is the little guy down here, little Deborah in HR, who has no experience whatsoever, she's a guppy. She's the weakest link. That's where we need to put our focus in. Cybersecurity awareness and education, and cybersecurity hygiene.
Yeah, I dig that. So look, to go back to the Starbucks situation, in order for you to prevent this, not 100%, but definitely put you in a better position, whenever you connect to any kind of Wi-Fi that's not your home network, and even for your home network, use a VPN, something super simple. I'm not gonna give anybody any plugs because we're not sponsored at this point until me and William come together and we make our own VPN service. But you know, grab a VPN, you know, and dude, you are so 100% on, don't, you know, the hygiene, like make sure that you're cognizant of where your information is, and, you know, don't just blast all your information out. Like at this point, everybody's trackable, and, you know, the internet, like if you can't get off of it, then somebody can always find out more information about you. So, you know, the smaller that footprint is, you know, I know this might go a little bit off the subject, not really off the subject, but it almost sounds counterintuitive, because I had somebody actually approach me when I gave a short video saying, you know, make sure that you don't give out too much information, like where you work at, and, you know, specific things or projects that you're working on, which, you know, in certain situations you definitely don't want to. But they gave me an interesting question, and they said, aren't you doing that? I know where you work at. You just gave us your phone number to contact you for X, Y, and Z. So is there, you know, how do you play that role where, hey, I can do this, but I can do it in a safe manner?
Man, it's crazy, because like literally that's all it takes, you know. And so, you know, that's where it's just like, you know, we kind of got everyone's so comfortable throwing out, what's your Snapchat? What's your Instagram? What's your, you know, phone number? So it's like, we have to be mindful. We have to, like, you know, it's like how like I was at an event, and, you know, people are networking, you know, some different numbers, let's take my number, this and that. And so, you know, people were transferring their information over Bluetooth, you know, and it was like, you know, you can talk about that, right? Or, you know, blue snarfing and all these different, you know, attacks that happen over Bluetooth connection. But like, it was just an airdrop contact. Boom. Now your contact's in their phone. So I feel like, you know, in cybersecurity, nothing's 100% secure ever. And anyone in the industry will tell you that. It's never a matter of if.
It's a when. It's
always a matter of when. And as we continue to move forward with tech, you know, these quantum computers will become more effective, more powerful. And so if something takes 100 years to hack, you know, is it secure? I mean, my answer would be, yeah, who else gonna be here in 100 years? But it depends, you know, it depends what we're talking about. But for example, if I'm protecting my you know, personal, or if it takes 1,000 years to hack based on, you know, quantum computing and stuff, could we consider that to be secure? I mean, I would, because who's gonna be here in 1,000 years? You know, we ain't gonna be here. You know, so our generations and generations and generations.
I don't know about you, man, but I go to the gym a lot. I'll be around for a minute.
Listen, I need some of that. Maybe I drink sea moss, so hey, hopefully I'll be here too. But yeah, man, I think that it's just always a matter of when. And so, we just have to be mindful, like, how we store our passwords. Password complexity. That's a huge thing right there on its own, like password policy. People don't put it on. I mean, the average person uses the same password for all their accounts. That's a big no-no right there.
I mean, that's not what I'm supposed to do, but I got 10 different websites I got to log on to.
That's what I'm saying. So you might, and then they save it to each website as that. So it's using the same password, everything's saved in the cache. And so, that right there is not a good practice. The password to your email, the same to your bank account, the same to your social media, the same to your, we need to develop, and there's ways, there's different techniques that you can implement to develop safe passwords, whether it be, concatenation. So concatenation, you don't want to use dictionary words, right? There's dictionary attacks, there's quantum computers that can literally guess passwords, billions of passwords in seconds. And so you don't want to be using dictionary words. You don't want to be using your name with, let's say, a special character or a personal birth date or anything like that, because this all can be tied and associated to you, and you don't want to do that. So one of the methods you can use is concatenation. You can, tree, dollar, cybersecurity, farm. You can concatenate these words. This isn't a word you'll find in a dictionary, right? And so that's just one method, an example of something that you can do. You can do abbreviations. So for example, roses are red, violets are blue. You can take the first and the last letter of each word, concatenate it, append on some special characters, some symbols. That's a password you won't forget, right? But it's also a password that won't be found in a brute force dictionary attack.
Yeah.
So these are practices that we need to, appropriately apply, and that could be all the difference, make all the difference, when it comes to being safe online.
Man, no, that's 100. So when you were saying that, I actually thought about it's a website, and it leaves my mind right now, but I'll definitely put it in the show notes. But it tells you can put in a password, and it'll let you know not just weak, medium, and strong, but it'll actually know, how long it would take a machine to crack that password. So when you're doing something like the concatenation, like you might go from a week to 50 years to 1,000 years, and it'll let you know. And that's definitely something that you guys should be utilizing. And once I can't stress this enough, password managers, they generate passwords for you. You get the one concatenated password, make that your master password, and have that, password manager store everything else for you, make everything unique. One of the things I do at my role is, I go on the dark web and scour to see if we got password lists. And I can literally type in a domain name like you're at, wherever you may work, at Michelin.com. And anybody that has a compromised password is going to show up on that list with their username and the password. So what if the password for your network was also to your bank account, which is also to your social media, which is also to your email, your personal and your work? Now I got you. I am you. So that's why we're stressing this stuff. It sounds like small things, but if you're not defensive minded or you're not red team minded, these are things that you might end up being just like Deborah in HR. So, follow the game. My man Will is spilling it. So, man, we almost at the end here. So I always end with this question. What's one question I didn't ask, but you wish you had the opportunity to answer?
Man, that's a great question. You got me. I think that we definitely talked about a lot. We covered a lot. I think, do you have another question maybe that you've been asking, want me to answer, or is that because you're gonna have me out here looking up?
Hey, we can call it a stalemate. That just means this was a good stuff. And like just to let the audience know, man, me and Will, we've been really building with each other. So a lot of this conversation, it's organic, and it's kind of like we going back and rehashing it for y'all so that y'all can get a lot of this. So, man, we didn't ask each other enough questions up to this point, but brother, I want to say, go ahead.
I got. So I think that one question that would apply to the masses or to the folks that maybe have not as much experience would be like, how does someone, break in? We talked about, just developing hands-on experience, but I think that what's really important is to keep in mind, anybody can do this, right? I challenge everyone here who ends up watching this video. I challenge you to just read 10 articles a day. All right, read 10 articles a day, and you can find these articles anywhere, whether it be Krebs, it could be Bleeping Computer. Like, just type in cybercrime, cybersecurity hack, whatever you want to look up. But just read 10 articles a day just to get exposed and start understanding the terminology, because it's like, to break in, you just got to stay hip. Cybersecurity is one of those spaces, one of those fields that's like, if you don't continuously learn, you'll be a dinosaur in a year. You won't know what's going on. And so it's always about continuing education, continuing cybersecurity awareness and training. Tool sets change by the hour, and so you got to stay up to speed. You got to stay hip. And I think that's one of the most important things. So like, if you're looking to just break in, just start reading. And it doesn't take, more than a couple minutes a day to just, dedicate a couple minutes to just, reading and researching what's out there and what's going on in the world and how you can avoid it, how your company may be able to, avoid it and defend and mitigate or detect a threat. And so I think that is the most important thing, just being able to, speak the language, being aware of what's out there, what's going on. And I think that's a great way for folks to just be able to, develop and adopt some of these skill sets. But
did you have any sources that you use, or, just to get them started?
Yeah, like I was saying, like you could use, Bleeping Computer. You can use, Krebs Security. There's a bunch. You can, it's just to each his own. You can find this on Reddit. You can find, pretty much anywhere. You're gonna see that's what I'm saying. Like, literally just Google cybersecurity, cybercrime, cyber hack, ransomware, phishing. Like, you could just Google that and you'll see like an article pop up yesterday, of a different, cybersecurity.
Let me give y'all a bar. So y'all can go, man, this is not sponsored, but go to, your Google Play Store, your Apple Store, and just download Flipboard. Flipboard is an awesome app. And, all the resources that Will just laced y'all with, whether it's Bleeping Computer, CISO Online, they have essentially curated everything when it comes to specific topics. Like, you can put marketing, you can put cybersecurity, whatever you want. Like, I got a section that's just cybersecurity. So any latest news that comes out is already on the platform. You can read it, be the first person to have it, and that might be something that could benefit you, your organization, or like he said, it's all about the education, right? So for you to be able to stay hip and know what's going on, because 99% of the time when you get to these interviews, you're gonna be asked, how do you stay up on your news? Because that's how fast this stuff evolves. So we don't want to antiquate it. We want to make sure that we are the next iPhone 15,000, whatever, stay on top of what you got to do.
Right here,
bro.
Right here, bro.
Man, hey, I told him I had to switch to Apple, man. I'm in love with Apple. I'm an Apple fanboy now. So I'm never going back. I'm never going back. But hey, man, so look, tell the people where we can reach you. What's all your handles, social media? Drop the information to the businesses. Sure. I'm gonna put it out here, but you gotta hear it from you. The more time they hear it, the more time it stick to them.
Absolutely. So you can catch me on LinkedIn. I'm always on LinkedIn pretty much every day, and that's just my name. So you'll find me, William T.J. Sims IV. I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm on Instagram. So if you want to follow me or some of my businesses, you can catch me on Instagram at tjones_IV. And all my businesses are there, from TFUThreads, which is my clothing line, NextGen Logistics, which is our trucking logistics company, and TFUAcademy. So those are the handles. You can catch me there. Feel free to reach out by any means. And I love to connect with anyone, whether it just be to, provide some type of value, whether it be career coaching advice, resume writing, LinkedIn, you name it. You want to enroll to our upcoming cohort. You're interested in what we have going on. I would love to connect with anybody. And first and foremost, anytime, thank you for just giving me an opportunity to come on your platform and to, chop it up with you and, expose the people, educate, elevate, empower them with respect to cybersecurity. So it's an honor, and I appreciate you.
Nah, man, likewise. To me, this is another day in the lab, man. We got the backgrounds on. I'm hyped. I was lit just to do this thing, man. So once again, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate the listeners. If y'all made it this far, definitely, reach out to my man, Will. He's a powerful man right here. And, a lot of great information, and, just with a really good cause. And, like everybody else I have on this show, we're not doing it for us. We want to feed back. It's never too early or too soon for you to give back into the community. So let's keep this positive energy going. And you know what I say, man, tell a friend to tell a friend. Holla at your boy, man. It's Antoine Matthews, Cyber Chat. Great episode. See you soon, everybody.
My man, let's get it.
My man.